Good day, fellow educators. I am Ms. Arjam. Today, I want to share some information about the basis of basic education in the Philippines. Along with the advancement of technology and the progression of life, the demand in education also becomes high. Why establish an educational system? Why does the government need to support it? How can education be accessible to all learners? These are some questions this presentation will address. Let's start. In this presentation, I will discuss the purposes or objectives of establishing the educational system in the Philippines, the practices in the basic education sector that support the purposes and objectives, the establishment, support, and maintenance of the basic education in the Philippines, the access to quality basic education, and the government's response to the current demand in basic education sector. Why is there a need for an educational system in the country? Firstly, because getting quality education is the right of all citizens. The 1987 Constitution promulgated that the state shall protect and promote the right of all the citizens to quality education at all levels and shall take appropriate steps to make such education accessible to all. Secondly, because we need to contribute to the economic and social growth of the country. The Presidential Decree Number 6 stated that the maximum contribution of the educational system in a free and democratic system is to achieve and maintain an accelerating rate of economic development and social progress. The World Literacy Foundation in 2018 argued that illiteracy costs a country billions, therefore has a huge impact in economic and social growth. Lastly, because we want our values passed from one generation to the next. Amidst a changing world, the demands in education and profession require the Filipino citizens to be internationally at par. The danger, however, is that we forget our own while embracing the international culture. Hence, the law also states that the educational system should strengthen the national consciousness and promote desirable cultural values in a changing world. What are the practices in the basic education sector that support the purposes or objectives of establishing educational system in the Philippines? Let me discuss some of their practices to achieve each purpose or objective. For the citizens to gain quality education that is to be made accessible to all, here are some of the education sector's practices according to the 1987 Constitution. Number 1, establish and maintain a system of free public education in the elementary and high school levels. Without limiting the natural right of parents to rear their children, elementary education is compulsory for all children of school age. Number 2, establish and maintain a system of scholarship grants, student loan programs, subsidies, and other incentives which shall be available to deserving students in both public and private schools, especially to the underprivileged. Number 3, encourage non-formal, informal, and indigenous learning systems as well as self-learning, independent, and out-of-school study programs, particularly those that respond to community needs and provide adult citizens, the disabled, and out-of-school youth with training in civics, vocational efficiency, and other skills. To maintain economic development and social progress in the country, here are some of the practices of the education sector according to Presidential Decree Number 6. First, to provide for a broad general education that will assist each individual in the peculiar ecology of his own society to attain his potential as a human being, enhance the range and quality of individual and group participation in the basic functions of society, and acquire the essential educational foundation for his development into a productive and versatile citizen. Next, train the nation's manpower in the middle-level skill required for national development. Next one, develop the high-level professions that will provide leadership for the nation, advance knowledge through research, and apply new knowledge for improving the quality of human life. Lastly, respond effectively to changing needs and conditions of the nation through a system of educational planning and evaluation. To maintain the citizens' cultural values amidst a changing world, the education sector's practices are as follows according to Republic Act 9155 and the 1987 Constitution. Number 1, the program for school arts and culture remains a part of the school curriculum. Number 2, teaching of the Constitution, patriotism, and nationalism, fostering love of humanity, respect for human rights, appreciation of the role of national heroes in the historical development of the country, and teaching the rights and duties of citizenship are all part of the curriculum. Also, strengthening ethical and spiritual values, developing moral character and personal discipline, encouraging critical and creative thinking, broadening scientific and technological knowledge, and promoting vocational efficiency are still part of the curriculum. Now let us see how the basic education in the Philippines is established, supported, and maintained. As aligned to the 1987 Constitution, Republic Act 9155 declared to provide free and compulsory basic education to all Filipino citizens. To supervise and regulate educational institutions, the Department of Education does the overall planning and policy framework for the improvement of the basic educational system as mentioned by the UNESCO in 2015. This implies that school policies, learning outcomes, and curricula must be aligned with the national standard from the DepEd. For teachers to provide quality education, they must be equipped and developed professionally. Therefore, as stipulated in the 1987 Constitution, there is an allocated budget for such advancement. UNESCO 2015 also cited that because the Department of Education is the country's biggest bureaucracy, it is given the highest budget allocation among government agencies each year, as again required by the 1987 Philippine Constitution. Despite the provisions of and support from the government, Matcha et al. 2018 cited that problems in the education system still arise. Therefore, to ensure quality in the basic education access, reforms are continuously done. Republic Act 10533 or the Enhanced Basic Education Act of 2013 is one example to improve the curricular programs in the Philippines. It stipulates that from kinder to grade 10, there is an additional 2 years in high school. The K-12 aims to provide every Filipino child with the education needs to compete in a global context. Next is democratization of access to educational opportunities through the provision of financial assistance to deserving students, skills training programs for out-of-school youth, and continuing education program for non-literate adults. This assistance enables underprivileged Filipino citizens to be educated and contribute to the nation. Finally, design, utilization, and improvement of instructional technology and development or production of textbooks and other instructional materials are also included. Tomines et al. 2013 highlighted in their study that the design, usage, and development of instruction must be dependent on the needs and situations of the learners. The new normal in education is the current demand that needs immediate response. I would like to commend the measures taken by the government to address the needs of the education sector in the new normal despite criticisms from many. Each local government allocated a budget intended for both teachers and learners to adapt to the needs in the current situation. They also provide either webinars, trainings, or budget to attend such in equipping teachers to meet the new demands. Finally, the government implemented flexible, remote, and blended learning to ensure that the Filipino citizens' education will not be halted. Before I end, remember that the world may offer what many would think is the best system in educating the people. However, Mrs. White reminds us that there is one who stands higher than they. Let us educate not for the world, but for the Lord. Have a good day.